Before we get into the rewind for the Ravens Steelers game, I do want to send my thoughts and my prayers to the family of Damar Hamlin after what most of us who were watching the game witnessed last night. Just a scary moment, lots of emotions from teammates, I'm sure from people watching at home, from people watching in the crowd, and of course his family too. So want to send my comfort, my prayers, um, and just a big wave of support to his family, his friends, his teammates, and anybody affected by what everybody witnessed last night. Um, Definitely something that I don't think that a lot of us have never seen. I know we've seen similar situations, and it's definitely something that was hard to see, and I think e- for a lot of us, made it kind of hard to sleep too because it was like, wow, is he okay? I think that was everybody's thought process last night. Is like, is he okay? Um, is his family okay? Is his team, or his teammates okay? As as they attempted to even just think about the game that was ahead or think about what was about to take place. But I think the biggest thing that we can all do is just come together and just send send them some comfort, right? Send them some prayers, and just pray that he gets well soon as well. As of course, we continue to get the updates and everything. I'm just one more time before I get into the recap of the game. I'm gonna send my thoughts and my prayers to Hamlin and his family, his teammates, his colleagues, um, and just praying for them and praying for them during this tough time, and praying for him as well. For a quick recovery, um, and just praying for everybody involved right now because there's a lot of people involved, and the main thing that I would love to see is everybody come together and be there for um, a man during this life threatening situation. So prayers out to Damar Hamlin, his family, his friends, his teammates, his colleagues, um, and we'll get into it. All right, what is going on, good people? Back at it again. Talk about this Ravens Steelers recap. In you know in a game that just was everything that I feel like we have seen from the Ravens this season. Um, of course, the Steelers got the, what was it, 16-13 win. The January 1st game, right? The New Year's Day game and all that. A lot of fun, right? I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was cool to see it flexed out. Like, I think a lot of us were hoping that Lamar was back and he wasn't. And I I think we were hoping for, we got the early Christmas, right, with getting the playoff berth and getting the win, like it felt good, and then the next week, on the first of the month, the first of the year, just to perform like that is it's ridiculous. But first things first, I'm just I'm just so tired of this, right? I'm so tired of the same story over and over and over again with this team, right? And it's funny. I've been saying this a lot, and I've been saying this a lot lately, and I didn't feel like this probably even a year ago, but now there's excuses, but there's not as many excuses. And you look around the league, you look at great coaches, right? You look at great coordinators, great team officials that can put their guys in the positions they need to be. I mean, for example, let's just look. The 49ers, Brock Purdy, you know, known as Mr. Irrelevant, last pick of the draft, rookie, has really truly come out here and hasn't skipped a beat in Kyle Shanahan's system, because Kyle Shanahan's system is probably almost second to none. Almost, I mean, I'm sure people have their preferences, but we all know Kyle Shanahan is going to. I mean, this man, he is going to put people where they need to be, right? Like, he's going to make sure people get open. He's going to make sure Brock Purdy looks good. It's just how it is. I mean, it's crazy. And you look at Brian Daboll. The New York Giants just made their first playoff berth since what, 2016, and they they might have worse talent than the Ravens have right now at wide receiver, and they still find a way to score points, to execute, and to win games. And as much as I want to go into this recap and blame the defense, blame the offense, right? Oh, the offense didn't score. Oh, the defense gave up the big score at the end. Yes, more on that here in a second. As much as I want to blame those guys, a lot of this has to come back to coaching, right? Because this has been a consistent issue all year long, and you come up here, you get on the microphone and you say, well, we just gotta execute better. We just gotta play better. People aren't running the right routes, whatever, right? But where's the accountability? Where's the accountability from Harbaugh, Greg Roman, Mike McDonald as well? Where is, hey, we don't have Marcus Peters out here. Let's figure out a way to do what we got to do so they don't hit us for big plays over and over and over again. Whereas, once again, as we talked about year after year after year, where are the adjustments from the offensive perspective when they're running, I mean, 6 down linemen or 6 rushers at you because they know all you can do is run the ball. They're begging you. They're begging you to beat them throwing the ball. And you don't have the personnel, you don't have the scheme, and right now you don't have the quarterback. So what are you going to do? Right? I talked about it before. I don't love the personnel that the Ravens are playing with right now. I don't love the receiving situation, right? I don't always love the offensive line. I don't love that we have rostered so many tight ends that it looks ridiculous. But I don't blame the personnel for the issues right now. I blame the coaching, right? Because Greg Roman has been given everything, literally everything that he has wanted to make a successful offense. Can't do it. This offense is so predicated on Lamar Jackson making magic happen every single week. Every single week. And and of course, we've seen it the last 4 weeks with Lamar Jackson being out. There's been no magic, right? There's barely been any big plays unless it's in the run game. Like, and that's the crazy part. The crazy part is, let's just think about this. The crazy part is the run game probably looks better now than it has all season, because finally you have a healthy JK or remotely healthy. You got a healthy Gus or remotely healthy. And, they just feed off of each other. So kind of like we've been saying over the past couple of weeks, imagine what happens when Lamar gets back in the game, right? Like the rushing game is going to be ridiculous. But once again, why can't Greg Roman find a way to scheme open pass plays, even just off of his heavy run scheme? I don't get it. Like I said, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that I am concerned going into the playoffs about a Super Bowl winning coach and a Super Bowl attending offensive coordinator on the same team. I am concerned more about them than I am the personnel. I trust Demarcus Robinson, James Prochet, and Andy Isabella more than I trust Greg Roman to find a way to scheme them open. That's an issue, right? That's an issue. Because offensively, the only way this offense is going to get better is if Lamar comes back and he does his magic thing where he opens up receivers because he's such a threat. Because, of course, the receivers aren't going to get any better. The receivers are what the receivers are, right? Deshaun's 36 years old. Sammy Watkins is coming off of another team. He's getting older. right? Everybody else is unproven. That's what it is. We we all I guess we all wanted to see the young guys cook, right? And now we seeing what they cooking with, right? Like they forgot to spray the pan before they let it sizzle, and the food's sticking. So it's frustrating, right? It's very, 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 very frustrating to see a team have the same issues over and over again. And as I continue to think, like, well, where does the blame go? It's hard once again, and I've talked about this for weeks. It's crazy because it feels like I talk about this week after week because when the Ravens do lose, it seems to be in the same manner, right? The offense maybe moves the ball a little bit, doesn't score in the red zone, or the offense doesn't move the ball at all, right? But somehow the offense gets a lead, and then the defense folds like an accordion so that the opposing offense can win the game. This is time after time. This has been happening for years. It really has. Time after time, happening for years. Moment after moment. Big play after big play. I mean, the defense didn't play well. Like I really don't care that they only scored 13 points. The defense didn't play well. At the end of the day, the defense did not play well at all. They got ran all over, passed all on, and then scored on at the wrong time. That's a recipe for disaster every single time. And think about every single loss that the Ravens have had this season. It has been on the back of the defense, giving up a score at the wrong possible time, not turning teams over. I mean, I don't even think the Steelers gave the ball away on Sunday night. They just didn't, right? Which is great, but you got to force something. You're the defense with all the resources. You got to find a way to get some sort of turnover. That's just how it's got to be. You got to find anything, any sort of way to find a turnover, to pick the ball up, pick the ball off, doesn't matter. Punch the ball out. You got to be there. Like I've been talking about it for weeks. This defense almost needs to score touchdowns at this point. Because number one, you're playing with a backup quarterback. So that's half the issue with the offense right there. Not that the offense was great before, but a lot of the issues go with the fact that you're playing this conservative game on the offensive end and not leaning into what you know. We'll get to that in a second. And the defense has to be the ones that take the ball away and possibly even score with it. Now, on the offensive end, like I said before, my biggest fear with the offense, it was in this game and it was going forward, is Greg Roman, for whatever crazy reason, is afraid to lean into what he actually does pretty well. And that's running the ball at the times you need to run the ball. Or, like we said before, passing the ball. Like, there was a big stop that the Steelers made where they handed the ball off. I think it was to Gus, if I'm not mistaken. They handed the ball off to Gus, and he got stopped in the backfield. And I'm like, everybody knows that's coming, right? It's 3rd and 1. Everybody knows that's coming. Why don't you try something different, right? Once again, those rollout passes where Tyler Huntley's got the option to either run with the ball or throw the ball to whoever's open, that's been working. Why not go back to that, right? Why not go back to, I don't know, the shuffle pass that Greg Roman has loved so much this year? Like, it doesn't make sense. And it's frustrating too because it's the Steelers, right? Like, it's that I think that compounds it too, because you're sitting here thinking, like, why is it that the Ravens, when the Ravens have a chance, and I heard somebody say this on a space, and they were like, if the Ravens have a chance to ruin the Steelers season, to end the Steelers season, or in this case, to give them their first losing record under Mike Tomlin, like, it could be the Ravens were the reason behind it, right? Not entirely, but the Ravens were they were the one that pushed that losing record. Couldn't do it. How? Explain that to me. So, like I said, it's crazy because it's kind of like watching deja vu, right? You get a lead, you feel good, you're like, yeah, okay, Okay, they're gonna get it going. And the crazy part is you get a lead, and the next possession, you're like, okay, they're gonna score right here, and then we're gonna be able to breathe easy. They don't score, and then here comes as soon as they need it, here comes the Steelers marching right back down the field, right? Another issue I have too on this defense is they can't stop the run without Calais Campbell. Well, I hate to tell y'all this, but Calais Campbell ain't getting younger. He just ain't. He might be on the verge of retiring this offseason. So if you can't stop the run without him, what the heck are you gonna do next year? Right? What are you gonna do next year? And then that's another issue that the defense has when they already got all the resources to begin with. How? How like we talked about how talented this team is top to bottom when it comes to the defensive end. How can they not stop the run without Calais Campbell? How? Somebody explain to me how they can't stop the run without Calais Campbell, and they haven't been able to for the past couple of years. So where's the depth that everybody wants to talk about? It's not there. It's not there. This team frustrates me so much. Like I really feel like, and I feel like I can say this for a lot of Ravens flock. I feel like we all feel like there's a chance to make a run because of one person. And it ain't John Harbaugh, who's won a Super Bowl. It ain't Greg Roman, who's been to one. Right? It ain't this top 5 defense that you had for the past literally 25 years. It's Lamar Jackson. That's it. It's the magic of Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson having to do every single thing in his being to score on a team and becoming the main and probably only offensive threat. That's the only glimmer of hope that the Ravens have, is the fact that, number one, let's be honest, yes, the defense is playing well. Even the game on Sunday night, the defense played well. They just played situationally bad, as they always do, right? They got ran all over, and then they got passed all over, and then they got scored on when they needed to get a stop. When the offense needed it, from the Steelers' perspective, they got it. When the offense on the other end, the Ravens' offense needed the defense to score, the defense couldn't do it. That's an issue. That's an issue. Lamar Jackson is the only glimmer of hope this team has, right? Because we know that Lamar Jackson comes back. Number one, the pass game becomes much more of a threat. It just does. Also, because of Lamar Jackson's ability to evade and to create plays with his legs, that's going to open up passing lanes too. Rushing game gets better. Passing game gets better. Blocking gets better, right? Even if it's because of Lamar, blocking gets better, right? And, it's crazy to think, like, as bad as the offense has the offense has been weird this season, right? It really has felt like over the past 8 to 10 weeks, the offense has been struggling. But with Lamar Jackson in the game, the offense is averaging 28 points a game. With Tyler Huntley in the game, or anybody else who plays quarterback for the Ravens that isn't number 8, 18 points a game, right? 18 points a game, because here's the thing. 18 points a game sounds great, or sounds okay, if your defense gets that big stop. I mean, I've talked about it plenty of times, right? Josh Allen has had some rough times over the past couple of games, right? He's made costly turnovers, right? He's made, even the Bengals, like that was another, last week, the Bengals last week, there was costly turnovers in that game, right? But the defense steps up, does what they need to do, and there you go. There's a win for you, right? When the defense, sometimes as an offense, you need the defense to bail you out, and vice versa, right? Right now, we're leaning heavy on the defense to bail, to bail out. All right, that's what they're leaning on, right? The Eagles have a good defense, right? There's nothing wrong with having a good defense, but there has to be some sort of complementary football to be played, right? Whether it's in the play calls, whether it's in the positions you put people in, right? Like something has to change. But the issue is, and somebody said this too on a space or it was in a tweet or something, they were just like, the Ravens are content with just making the playoffs, right? Because if I make the playoffs, I get to keep my job, right? And it's funny because and this is my last point on a rant that has went far too long. The crazy part is, and this is what's wild to me, because we've been bringing up all year about how John Harbaugh doesn't want to fire Greg Roman, and he wants to be the nice guy or whatever, and he doesn't want to bring in people who are going to take his job. But here's the flawed logic in that. I could be the greatest offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL, right? More than likely, I'm not taking your job as long as we're winning games, right? As long as we're winning games and scoring points, I'm not taking your job, right? Like Greg Roman coordinated a team that had a league MVP and the most Pro Bowlers of any team in the NFL a couple years ago. But nobody was like, oh, yeah, you know what? Fire John Harbaugh, promote Greg Roman. Like, nobody's going to say that, right? They're going to give you credit more than they're probably going to give the offensive coordinator credit, right? How many times did you hear the praises of the offensive coordinators of the 49ers or the offensive coordinators of the Bills, right? Until it was time to get hired, yes. But over the guy that's already there, nobody's saying we need to get rid of Andy Reid and promote Eric Bieniemy. Nobody's saying that because if everybody else is successful on the team, then of course everybody's going to look at you and be like, see, that's a good coach right there, because everybody's doing well. So the Ravens got to I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know how to feel right now about the Ravens situation, because the Ravens got a lot. They have an uphill climb to try and fight their way out of. But also on top of that, here's the issue. They're going to once again lean on the guy who they, for whatever reason, don't want to pay, don't want to surround him with weapons, barely want to give him a good offensive line, and just say, well, we gave him a good defense, so that's who they're leaning on. That's their hope. Like, let's be honest. The funny part is, right? The funny part is Eric DeCosta, the same guy who hasn't paid Lamar Jackson yet, is hoping Lamar Jackson comes back and wins games for the Ravens. That's wild to me. It's wild to me that the same guy who hasn't gotten paid yet, because for whatever reason he's not deserving of what he asked for, when you can't win without him. Either you can't win without him or you look terrible without him. I mean, either way, neither one of them are necessarily the greatest thing in the world. And he literally just changes the entire dynamic of your team, right? You haven't built around him, but you expect him to come back and be just out of this world great to make this roster that you've constructed great, right? Now, albeit, this is my last point, I don't think Eric DeCosta has built a bad roster, except on the offensive end, specifically at the wide receiver position. But now, albeit going back to coaching, going back to John Harbaugh, I'm sure John Harbaugh and Greg Roman had a hand in the fact that there were 5 tight ends rostered on the team coming into the year, right? And there were like, what, four receivers? I'm sure they had a hand in that, right? I think, I don't think Eric DeCosta has done entirely everything that he could do, but I think Eric DeCosta is also guilty by association. Because if John Harbaugh says, oh, let's go get Ben Mason, like y'all realize the Ravens drafted a fullback, knowing for a darn fact that they had Patrick Ricard, who they'll literally line up in the slot for no reason, right? Like, that's the crazy part about what we've seen. So, like, on one hand, if it is Eric DaCosta, then that's pure negligence, just unmitigated negligence at this point. But if it's the rest of the team, right? If it's Greg Roman because he wants tight ends, or if it's Greg Roman because he needs a fullback for his power formations, you have a fullback. You can't play but one fullback at a time. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm frustrated with this team, and I continue to get more and more frustrated week after week, whether it be win or loss, because the crazy part is, once again, we're going into to a playoff push where it's anybody's game. But the playoffs, more than anything else, always tend to come down to coaching. And the Ravens have been the ones being outcoached, not only just this season, but especially when it comes to the playoffs. They play like they're nervous. Somebody said like they play like they're trying not to lose, not trying to win, right? Like, that's the issue. They're trying their best not to lose. So you get conservative and you end up doing what? Losing, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? We'll see how it goes. Week 18 coming up. Of course, not sure what they'll do with the Bengals Bills game, with everything going on with Hamlin right now. Of course, hoping that he's okay, and his family and everything. So it'll be interesting, right, to see how things play out. I know they said they won't play it this week, so I mean, however it goes, is how it goes, because of course, his life is more important than the game right now. So however it goes is however it goes, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out. But once again, praying for his swift recovery, and also just like his family as well. As they probably are going through plenty of stress right now. But we'll see you guys on the next one. I'll be back for a preview of this Ravens Bengals. Could be, I don't know. That's the thing. Could be AFC North. Could be AFC North championship. Game next week, or it could end up getting pushed back because of the situation of last night. So we'll see what happens. But as always, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. You can always listen to or watch Flock Nation Speaks on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And I think that's it. I think that's all of them. But as always, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodness, the Steelers just came into the house on. They came into the bank, robbed the bank on the first of the year, ate all the greens, all the cornbread. Right? They just came in. They came in. They just took over. They just took over. They stole it all. It's crazy, man. It's this team. I tell you, this team, and you want to keep out hope that maybe there's a run in sight, because the defense, because that's the thing. Like, the crazy part is, like I said, it's coaching. It's coaching to me, because the defense is good, right? The defense is good. Now, albeit, are they good situationally? No, but they're good. They're good enough to win you games, right? The running game is good enough to win you games. I think the passing game, when Lamar's in the game, is good enough to win you games. But my biggest issue is the coaching. It just is. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time, definitely hope you guys enjoyed.